I came to Edmonton in 1986, and for me, there's always a before Edmonton and after Edmonton. It's almost like I've lived two lives. And my life from 1986, February 4th, 1986, up until now, my life in Edmonton, seems to have always included this guy from when he was a little kid right up until today. His name is Wayne Allchin, and he's agreed to be my guest today.
Reluctantly.
This podcast brought to you by homegirls.ca, a top producing team at Remax Professionals, and thompsonmortgages.com. They take care of the financials. You search for your perfect home. The combination of these two sponsors has helped me facilitate multiple real estate transactions, including my most recent move right here in 2025. Now here's today's show.
Reluctantly.
Hey Wayne, great to see you.
Good to see you.
One of the reasons I wanted to do a podcast with you today is because this marks the 10th anniversary. I know it's not until November, but this marks the 10th anniversary of the release of the Wayne Allchin Band debut CD.
Oh, really?
You don't remember that?
It doesn't seem like 10 years, that's all.
Does it seem shorter or longer?
It seems shorter because I listen to some of the tracks every now and again, and they're very, very fresh in my mind. So it does not seem like it's been 10 years.
Do you remember the article in the St. Albert Gazette that it was written? I have it up. Wayne Allchin is a straight shooter and sometimes an angry one. The St. Albert singer-songwriter is blunt and outspoken and lays out his personal truths without the need for a shiny spin. He doesn't need to. Anna wrote that coming up on 10 years ago.
I don't remember seeing that article, to be honest with you. I have the memory of a goldfish, but...
It goes on to say, for close to 20 years, he's performed with Bill Fuhrer on bass and Gator Shellamy on drums, two good friends who have shared the roller coaster ride of friendship and the music industry. And that goes without saying, I suppose, huh?
Yeah.
Tell me about the Wayne Allchin Band.
It's been in several different iterations of itself. The latest one has been my friend Gator, my friend Bill, and every now and again Bart plays with us. But it started out being me and two other people that aren't around anymore. A guy named Steve and a guy named John. And this is going back to 2004. It's been a while. And I've just gone through different players throughout the years. And I've always tried to keep three-piece core group. With every once in a while, we'll have somebody else come join us for a couple of shows. But it's always just the three of us. And we're great friends inside and outside of the band. We're just really close. I can go without talking to Gator for a month or two, and we'll pick up the exact same conversation exactly where we were when we left it off last time. Same with Bill. They're both really great guys. They're both incredible players, and I feel very, very fortunate to have been able to play with these guys for as long as I've been able to play with them. It's certainly a treat for me.
So 10 years ago, you would have been how old?
Oh, well, then I would have been 40 10 years ago.
Oh, so this is your 50th year. Okay.
This will be my 50th year on Earth.
I'm just trying to remember the occasion. Do you remember how and when you and I first met?
At the back of the Sidetrack Cafe in the backstage area. That's where I met you.
I met your dad before I met you.
Probably. He was a huge influence and a huge fan of mine. That sounds arrogant, but I don't mean for it to. But he was the band's biggest fan, that guy.
I don't think it sounds arrogant at all. And I seem to recall it might have been a jam situation. I don't remember what year it was. I just remember that underage performers were allowed in licensed Class A establishments or AAA establishments, whatever they were classified as at the time. And your dad was sitting in the very front table of the Sidetrack Cafe.
Where he always sat.
He was, yeah, I don't think he could have been further on the edge of his seat. I don't think he could have been any more on the edge of his seat than he was when I met him. And he turned over his shoulder and looked at me, and he gave me that big toothy grin, that big gigantic smile that he had, and his eyes were this big, and I didn't even say anything to him. He just said, "That's my son." And I said, "Well, he's unbelievable. How old is he? And
I was
the rest
17,
of the
and it would have been
conversation.
1992, Terry.
I think it was earlier than that, and I think I saw you play when you were 15. I thought that was how old you were when we met.
It may have been a couple years previous to that. I honestly don't remember. I really did think it was that we met in the backstage area at the Sidetrack Cafe. And I would have been either 16 or 17 when I met you. I was just a kid.
I do recall you being underage, and then all
Yep.
of a sudden there was all the government controversy that prevented underage performers from going in and playing venues. I didn't really pay much attention to it at the time because, well, I didn't have a child at the time that was musically inclined. I had a couple of kids, but they didn't get to the point that they did. Your dad, you being a big fan of your dad, heavy influence on your life. And every time I saw you, your dad wasn't far behind, or vice versa. And we have had a lot of personal experiences with and without your dad. I know your dad passed away some time ago. Tell me about him. What are some of your fondest memories of your dad?
My dad loved music more than anybody on earth. He had a record collection that would rival Ken 97's record collection. He was always involved in music. We used to go, when I was a kid, we used to go to St. Albert Public Library on weekends, and I would get all these records that I wasn't allowed to play of my dad's because they were my dad's and I was going to break them if I played them. So we would go to the library and I would get all the same music that he had because I just loved it. I grew up listening to stuff like Zeppelin and Yes and Genesis and Ozzy even and Black Sabbath. I grew up on such a wide diversity of music. It was really incredible having my dad around. And he loved music more than anybody else. He would sit on the living room floor for hours and hours and hours and just make himself really organized and categorized audio tapes that we would then stick in the car when we were on vacation. And me and my brother Kerry, we used to sit in the back and just watch the world go by and listen to this music. And I fell in love with it. That's where my love of music comes from. It comes from my dad. So he was a huge influence on me. There's a whole lot of things that have gone on between him and I. And some of them have worked their way into some of my songs, and some of them have stayed really private. But he's a huge influence on me, a massive influence on me.
Your dad was a talented artist as well.
Oh, yeah. He used to do these pen and ink drawings with intricate details where he would draw. I know this is going to sound really strange. He did draw a picture of a bridge and a woman sitting beside the bridge in an old English countryside type of setting. And he was that intricate that he would make sure that every single brick on the bridge was drawn and shadowed properly. He was incredible. I wish I had one of his pictures to show you, but I don't. But he was such an artist. He was really quite incredible. And he would just sit there with his headphones on for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and just draw. My mom would have to flag him down and let him know that supper was ready or that the kids have done something stupid again. He loved his artwork, and he was very, very, very good at it.
I have one. We just recently moved. We've been in a new house for 6 weeks now, and I still have boxes that I haven't unpacked. And I have one of his drawings that is very special to me. And I know exactly, it's packed away in a box. I know the folder exactly that it's in, but I don't know the box that it's in, unfortunately. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where I wish I could show one of the pictures. With your dad being as talented as an artist, and that's something that probably people didn't suspect from him, but it is remarkable. Did he also play an instrument? Is that where you got your
No,
inspiration from? Was he musical at
no,
all?
My dad was the most anti-musical human being when it comes to instruments and stuff. He played guitar left-handed, so I couldn't even show him anything because it was all backwards. But he was not a player in any sense of the word. The all, and this is what my mom thinks. She said to me that my granddad, her dad, used to be able to figure any instrument out within an hour, and she thinks that's where I got it from her, and I have talked about this a lot in the past. I didn't like the only reason I play guitar is my mom wanted to learn how to play guitar. So she brought this crappy little nylon string, 6 string thing that was just this small, tiny little guitar. And I found it one day in the back bedroom in the back of our house in the basement. And I wanted to play it so bad. I went and sat on the hill behind my house, and I sat there and played open string, open string, open string, open string, open string, open string, open string. And I thought I was well on my way to being a rock star. And after taking lessons for a long, long time, I was nowhere near being a rock star. I was just some kid with a crappy little guitar sitting on his hill behind his house. That's where I get it from. I get it. My mom thought, anyway. She thought that I got it from my granddad.
Tell me about your mom. Tell me about Liz. We heard lots about Chris. Tell me about Liz.
Okay. My mom, hang on a second. My mom was very, very special. My mom and me had a very close relationship. When I was born with a defective heart. So I spent a lot of time in hospital as a kid. And my mom was there for me every single step of the way. And her and I bonded a whole lot. Not that my brother and my mom didn't, but her and me did get really, really close. She was a huge fan. She didn't make it out to as many shows as my dad did, but when she was there, it was really, really special to me. And I used to invite her out all the time. She went a couple of times with my dad, and then when my dad passed away, she got remarried, and my stepdad, she went and brought him to a couple of shows. And but my mom my mom means the world to me, and she always will. Not that I'm a mama's boy or anything like that, but I am definitely my mom's kid.
I remember Liz phoning in to the K97 Christmas Jam every year that you were performing on the Christmas Jam. And
Of course you
you
would.
shouldn't have been, but you felt a little, I don't want to say embarrassed, but you could never predict what your mom was going to say when she called in to the Christmas Jam. And I think that's part of the anxiety that you felt, maybe.
Yeah, she used to phone in and she would sing Christmas carols down the phone, and she would be giggling the entire time she was doing it because she knew how uncomfortable it made me feel. It was a big game to her. And I wasn't embarrassed, but I was not embarrassed, if you know what I mean. And she used to call in and sing, "We wish you a Merry Christmas." And she wasn't the world's greatest singer, but she knew how to sing a little bit. So she just sang her ass off, and it was good for her. And I'm glad that she did it at the time. You don't know what you got till it's not there anymore. And at the time, I had no idea what I had, and I know what I had now. I'd give anything to hear her sing Christmas carols down the phone to me, even in July.
Your mom and dad were both from Britain. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that right?
Yep, so am I.
Oh, so you were born in where were you born?
I don't know. I think it was a place called Leicester, but I don't want to say for sure that's where I was very young at the time. They don't they don't tell you.
So did you not do you not have a birth certificate that you carried in your wallet at some point that would have said that you were born in Leicester or whatever?
I probably did. I know I don't have that anymore. I've moved so many times and things have gotten lost. I have no idea how to reclaim my birth certificate from anybody on earth. I'm probably gonna, if I want to prove that I was ever born, I want to probably look that up and see what I can find out. But I think I was born in a place called Leicestershire. And I moved. I was in London as a kid for my heart surgeries and stuff. I don't remember if we moved to Birmingham or if I know the neighborhood that I lived in was called Haywood, and that could have been anywhere on earth in England. It's a very sort of common British name thing, and that's where I grew up. I remember being a kid there. I didn't move here till I was 5, and we moved here because my dad got a job. Nobody else was consulted. I was not asked how I felt about it. I liked where I lived, but we moved to Canada and I was terrified. And the day we landed, it was like 24, 25 degrees outside and sunny. And I thought we had landed in the tropics. I thought it was going to be this beautiful, sunny summer day thing all the time. And I was going to play outside every single day and there wouldn't be rain and snow every single day. It was going to be beautiful and sunny and warm every single day. And I am sorely mistaken with that.
Reluctantly.
This podcast is reluctantly sponsored by the real estate team of homegirls.ca, a top producing team at Remax Professionals. If you are buying or selling in the Edmonton region, Shauna and Bonnie can handle everything with strong industry connections to mortgage brokers, home inspectors, lawyers, and contractors to support every step of the process. The market is very active right now. We recently listed our home again, and it went from MLS to closing conditions in 8 days. Now, of course, results may vary from property to property, but Shauna and Bonnie have been our trusted real estate advisors through buying and selling no less than 7 properties. I've recommended them to many friends who want real, relatable people with a personalized, hands-on approach. New home, investment, recreational, even commercial properties. Homegirls.ca is the website. Email info is right there. And the phone number is 780-517-HOME.
Reluctantly.
I remember my first winter here, and I'd never seen really a lot of giant snow drifts before. And it scared the hell out of me. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I knew that it was snow, but I'd never seen this much of it. It scared me, but I loved playing in it. I used to dive in head first into the snow drifts that my dad would make when he was shoveling the driveway. And me and my brother used to play for hours and build little snow forts and throw snowballs at each other. But yeah, I was born in England and moved here when I was 5 in 1981, I think. Because I turned 6 in 81, so I would have been 5 when we got here. It was a July day.
Was your brother Kerry older or younger? Younger, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 3 years younger than me. He's just a kid still. We're all still just kids.
You were recently out to visit Kerry. When was the last time you had seen him before your trip out there recently?
I had a get together with some friends at a bar back in June, actually, and he came out for that, which was really nice to see him. He was there. A lot of my other friends were there, but he came out, and we went out for dinner, and we hung out for a while. It was really great to see him. He means the world to me, that kid. He's a really good guy. Really good guy.
Your sense of humor is one of the things that draws people to you. Your dad had an incredible sense of humor. Your mom also quite dry. Did Carrie also get that sense of humor? Was there a lot of laughter in the family?
Yep. Oh yeah. Me and Carrie we're very, very similar in that sense. We both find the same things funny. We both laugh very hard at the same things. Yeah, me and Carrie definitely get it from our mom and dad because it's the British sense of humor, not to categorize people from different parts of the world, but it is the dry British Monty Python sense of humor. And me and Carrie both got it, and my dad and my mom both had it, so we got it from somewhere. It used to get me into trouble when I was a little kid, but now it just makes me laugh, and it makes other people laugh, but it makes me laugh the most, and that's selfishly what I'm concerned about.
Okay, so if you had to choose Benny Hill, Monty Python, or Faulty Towers,
Faulty Towers.
which is your one, two, three?
Faulty Towers.
Faulty Towers is number one.
Faulty Towers, Monty Python, and I never watched a lot of Benny Hill when I was a kid, so I'm not really all that familiar with him. But definitely Faulty Towers. I can still watch that and laugh, as you can tell by the smile on my face. It's just super funny. It's very, very funny. Definitely Faulty Towers. I've seen The Holy Grail a couple of times. The Meaning of Life is funny, but for me, my money is down on to Faulty Towers.
Who was funnier, your mom or your dad?
Geez, pick a day of the week. It changes all the time. My mom had such a quick, dry sense of humor, but my dad was really, really quick, very, very quick-witted, you know. So it's a toss-up. It's a 50-50, depends. Like, pick a day of the week. It could be my mom, it could be my dad.
You were talking about the nylon string guitar that you had sitting out behind your house playing that. Was that here in Canada? I'm guessing after you moved, after you were 5 years old, right?
Yeah, I think I was 8, something like that, when that went down.
How old were you when you got your Stratocaster, your red and black Strat?
Oh, geez, my dad bought that for me for my 18th birthday. That's my main guitar, that one. That's number one. That'll always be number one. I've
Well,
had that guitar since August, early August of 1993. I've had that since. So I really am horrible at math. So I'll just say it's been many years.
32 years.
I'm glad you're better at math than me.
When you got that guitar, what is the first artist you thought of, knowing that you were now in control of what came out of that guitar / amplifier?
The first song, well, I learned how to play a few songs at the beginning. First song I learned how to play was "Walk This Way" by Aerosmith. I just loved the beginning of that riff, and I had to learn how to play it. So that's the one that I got taught the first. They tried to teach me how to play scales and how to play modes and how to play this, that, and the other thing, and how to read music. And all I know is how to hold a guitar and play it. I have no idea I know what scales are, but I only know really 2 of them. I know the pentatonic minor and the C major scale. Those 2 I know. I can't read a note of music. Everything I've learned by listening to it, except for some of the songs. When I was a kid, I got taught how to play Wanted Dead or Alive when I was 11, I think is when that came out. That beginning intro with the guitar bits, I learned how to play that. I just, I wanted to play rock and roll. I wanted an amplifier with dirt on it. By dirt, I mean distortion sounds on it. I didn't know anything about pedals. I didn't know anything about stomp boxes. I knew nothing about anything. I was very, very sheltered as a child. But I got my parents bought me an electric guitar and an amp for Christmas, and I would have been 13 when that was done. So my very, very first electric guitar, I didn't get till I was 13. And I remember begging my mom, please, I promise I'll clean my room. And you know, all the promises that you make when you're 13. I made all those promises, and my mom and my guitar teacher had a conversation on the phone, and I know this because I picked up the phone in my parents' bedroom upstairs whilst my mom and Ralph Pretz actually were talking about getting me an electric guitar. And I sat and I listened in, and I was so excited when my mom said, we're thinking about getting him one for Christmas. And yeah, I went a little crazy on that. I loved that guitar. It was a white Jaguar, which probably is now, or would have been worth when it was brand new, it would have been worth $110. It was not an expensive guitar. It was not a good quality guitar at all. But it was mine. It was mine. It was electric, and I could do whatever I wanted to do with it. And I just wanted to play it all the time. I just wanted to play it. Kids would be playing street hockey out in front of my house, and I'd be sat in my room and this is when I still only had my nylon string. I would be at home practicing stuff and learning how to play things, and I just wanted to play guitar. That's all I have ever wanted to do, is just to play.
Tell me about seeing colors in the music and the notes that you play.
I have something called synesthesia, and it's, from what I can figure out from books that I've sort of skimmed through, it's where your brain is connected to parts of itself, right? So your ear part is connected to your ears, and your vision part is connected to your vision, and your speech part is connected to your speech part of the brain. All this stuff. My wires are crossed, so when I hear sound, I hear color. So I can play notes based on what color I know it is in my head. And it's not like when you look around, everything's red. That's not what it's like at all. It's like if you wanted to picture, let's say you're just sitting down, you and I are sitting down. And if you were to think about what an ambulance looks like, you'd see what an ambulance looked like. And it's that sort of vision that you get. Everything's got this red tinge to it, but it's only your thoughts that do. It's not like your actual visual field of vision. It's just, I hear color, and I've always heard color. I remember being a little kid, and my mom and dad used to buy me these books for Christmas because I'm diabetic, or Easter because I'm diabetic, so I never got any chocolate. So my mom and my dad would buy me these giant science books, and I was reading this science book one happy afternoon, and I just skimming through it, got to the section on the brain, was skimming through it, and I would have been, I don't know, 10, maybe 9. And I read this, and I came running out to the kitchen after I realized that I had what this thing in this book was telling me what it was. I came running into the kitchen with this giant 16-pound book in my hands, and my mom was cooking food, and I looked at her and I said, I found out what's going on with my brain. I see colors. I have something called synesthesia. And my mom was like, okay. Well, I'm busy right now, so we'll talk later. I don't know if she blew it off or if she thought I was just having a mad half hour. But yeah, no, I see color when I play. And I close my eyes when I play because I know where the color lives on the fretboard of the guitar. And I have no idea how I know where all this stuff is going on. I just do. And it's really quite incredible to play music and it doesn't even have to be music that I'm playing. It's pretty much any sort of music that I hear. I'll put a color to it. Slash's guitar playing from GNR, his playing is so dark red, it's just incredible. And Stevie Ray's was white and yellow, but he had a whole lot of red in there as well. Everybody's got their own shades. Everybody's got their own different colors that go through my head. But yeah, that's what it's all about.
Did you ever have any further conversations as an adult with your mom or your dad before they passed away, or with doctors, or with Ralph Pretz, your early guitar teacher, or anything like that?
You know what? I know that every once in a while I would bring it up to my mom, and she would just give them that the British answer to everything. And I don't remember if I talked to Ralph about this. I don't remember if I've talked to doctors about this. I probably have, but I honestly don't remember. I'm not going to put words into my own mouth.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. Not limited to just mortgages. They also provide insurance. Almost any service associated with a home or building purchase can be done in-house. And for anything beyond that, they have an extensive network of professionals at their fingertips. Consolidations, loans, mortgages, legal services, accounting services, financial planning, insurance. They are your one-stop shop. How do I know this? Well, Mike at ThompsonMortgages.com has helped us out with our mortgages for the last few real estate transactions that we have made. You can be confident that they will work hard to ensure all your mortgage and insurance goals are fulfilled. Check them out for yourself. ThompsonMortgages.com.
Reluctantly.
The K97 Christmas Jam. We referenced it earlier. Your mom would call in and sing Christmas carols to us. We were there sometimes on Christmas Eve, sometimes the Friday before at Christmas if it fell on a Sunday or a Monday or whatever the case might be. And some of the other players that would come in ranged everything from Daryl Barr, Bobby Cameron, and Mike Plume to the 10-inch Men with Rick Shermack and so many other guys that would pop in, and terrifically talented people. We did it in studio. We did it live on stage. Paula Perot, Samantha King, the Schultz sisters, the Command sisters, so many other people. What do you think of, or how does it make you feel when you think back to the K97 Christmas Jam, the studio stuff, the live stuff?
I get a giant shit-eating grin on my face. It was it still is very, very, very important to me. I loved every second of it. After my dad died, Christmas was never quite the same. And I always used to say that Christmas wasn't really about Christmas morning. It was always about the jam. And it was my favorite 4 hours of the year. I loved it. I looked forward to it. And I loved every single second of it. And I always got really bummed out when it was, when there was 15 minutes to go. But yeah, no, that was incredibly important to me, Terry, and thank you for that.
Talk to me about Bobby Cameron.
Bobby's awesome. One word, awesome. Bobby is one of the best friends you can ever possibly have. He's done so much for me. He's recorded my stuff for me. He's taught me how to sing properly. He's taught me be a really decent human being, because he is one. I met him back in 1992. I want to say I was 17 or something. When I was a kid, 15 or 16, he won Guitar Wars on Much Music, and I watched him, and he played slide guitar with a beer bottle, and I was just jaw on floor, one of those moments. And I was just a kid watching this guy play guitar on TV, thinking to myself, I wish I could play like that. And I met him, and I was so impressed. I got him to sign something for me, and I was thrilled to bits. I got Bobby Cameron's autograph. This is awesome. And then I saw him play a bunch of times at the sidetrack. And I think it was either the first or second time I'd ever met him. We went and played at the Sunday night jam at the sidetrack. And we played Cold Shot, and I'd never played Cold Shot before, but I'd heard the song on the radio, and I sort of learned it as I was going. It's one of those memories that it's really hard to describe, but it was really, really, really important. He kicked my ass every time I play with him. It's not that I'm forced to do better. It's that I want to do better. He's I don't know if the word inspirational is the right word, but his playing forces you to pull the best out of yourself. And you have to really want to keep up if you're going to keep up, because Bobby's just incredible. He's such a great singer-songwriter. He's such a great friend, and he's such a great human being. I have nothing but fantastic things to say about Bobby.
Daryl Barr, Mike Plume, like I was trying to list a lot of the people that have been guests on the Christmas Jam, and the admiration that you have for them and that they in turn have for you is phenomenal to watch. Me as being the host of the jam and not the musical guy. I have guitars and that's about it. I don't play them nearly enough to be good enough, but watching that come together every year, you talked about it being your favorite 4 hours of the year. It was for me too, because it all started with Mike Plume coming to the radio station back in 1997 and, just traipsing around with his guitar and then playing a few songs live. And we were prohibitive as far as the format was concerned, but I wanted to support local musicians. And then it ended up growing into what it became with over 25 years of performances. And it was always something that blew my mind, just sitting there and watching you all, no matter how many people it was, either remembering lyrics or being able, what key are we in, and everybody playing along. There was no rehearsal. There was no, it was just everybody got there. Hey, how you doing? There was hugs. There was food. There was canned jam.
Yeah,
And then you
from
just started
Michelle.
playing. It was just such a joyous experience, and it was so great to be a part of it, and then for my son to also be a part of it.
Riley's incredible. He's one of the best drummers I've ever played with. He's insanely good. Love Riley. And he's such a sweetheart of a guy. There's not a nasty bone in his body. He's an amazing human being, and I love Riley very much.
You talked about playing with Bobby and Bobby bringing out more out of you, inspiring you, encouraging you, egging you on, making it so that you felt that you had to play better. And there's that sense of, I want to play with people who are better than me because I want to be better. And that was the case with Riley. He was always playing with people who excelled. He was always playing with people who were at another level, which brought him up. And you were actually one of the very first other musicians that he played with after he got his drum kit, and it was in our house.
Yeah, I remember those days. It was me, Riley, and Tate, just two guitar players and a drummer. We tried our very best to make as much music as we possibly could. Riley was, what was he, 12 at the time, or 13 maybe? Just a kid.
12, yeah, he would have been 11 and 12 at that time.
And he was scary back then. Like not to say, again, to sound arrogant, but he reminded me of me when I was a kid, just having that want and that drive to get as good as you possibly can and just play as much as you possibly can. He's untouchable. Riley is absolutely untouchable. He was great to play with as a kid. I got a chance to teach his band how to play with each other properly. Remember DRT?
Oh, yeah, I remember. Well, and that was the other thing I was going to bring up, your influence on that band when Riley and Tate were 12 years old. Declan had just turned 14, so they were very young, and they started playing cover music, and they got to be a band of kids that were people weren't saying, they weren't just saying, oh, they're pretty good for a bunch of kids. People were saying, wow, they're pretty good.
I was lucky enough to play with those kids when they were growing, when they were figuring out who they were as players. It's hard to describe what those kids meant to me. They were great. One word is great.
And then Declan decided that he was going to leave the band, and that left, and for his reasons, and that's all fine. And there was no Riley and Declan are still friends to this day, and that was over 10 years ago. So they kind of found themselves, Riley and Tate did, sort of twisting in the wind, a drummer and a guitar player without a singer and a bass player. And then all of a sudden, you re-entered the picture along with Mac Long and became the Chicken Heads, which was another phenomenal thing because it's like I referenced before, when you play with people who have more experience and more stage time and are better skilled technically or whatever, you get better quickly. And that's exactly what happened with Riley on drums and Tate, who, by the way, had the same guitar teacher as you, Ralph Pretz.
That I did not know.
And then the Chicken Heads ended up Mac Long on bass, you on guitar, Tate on guitar, Riley on drums. And then the offers to play in bars even came like at a faster pace after that band was formed. So I found myself being an agent and sound guy for the Chicken Heads all over the place. You guys played all over Alberta.
We did. It's funny that you bring this up. I got a friend of mine who she went looking for stuff for me on YouTube, and she found a bunch of the Chicken Head stuff, and she sent me links to it. And it's stuff I had not seen before. watching it just brought back all of these memories. Like, there was, remember Tush Fest when we couldn't get in the bars, so we had to play across the street, and you got a generator, and we all were, and inside the bar, they stopped the show so that people could come outside and check us out because the kids were 17. And I know how much it pissed you off that they wouldn't play or they couldn't play in bars. And I know how pissed off it made me that they couldn't play in the bars because I just thought, well, I did it and I'm not a stripper now. I mean, uh, that was their thing. They did not want you to become an adult entertainer. So I didn't become one. But yeah, we played in a lot of bars, even when we didn't have that note from the bar or from the AGLC. You still snuck us into bars, snuck us into gigs. And I loved playing with those guys. I absolutely loved playing with them. Mac was awesome to play with. He had such a strong headspace, and he also had a minivan. Remember the minivan that we all bugged him about, but he kept saying, no, it fits all the gear. And he's right, it did. I had a minivan too. But Tate and Riley, I saw Tate when I had that little party for myself. I saw Tate and I saw Riley, and I watched Tate, Blues Puppy, and Riley just crush some Rush stuff at this party thing that I had. And they played fantastic. And they hadn't played together in months and months and months and months, and they were able to pull off. And I don't know the name of the song because I'm going to piss some people off here. I'm not really a Rush fan, so I have no idea what the song was called, but they nailed it. And they're just
The
that
song is
good.
the song was La Via Strangiata, and Sean, Blues Puppy, Tate, and Riley had not played together in over 5 years.
That doesn't surprise me that they were able to nail it. All three of them are just astounding players, astounding musicians. And again, three of the most humble and down to earth and kind people that you will ever see.
One of my fondest memories is taking your father backstage to see John Mayall at the Jubilee Auditorium. You and your dad, and I had an opportunity to take you backstage. He came with a Safeway shopping bag full of John Mayall and the Blues Breaker albums to get signed and whatnot. How long did the smile last on his face that week?
Not to downgrade his story about his records and stuff, but that night was overshadowed by what went on with the Buddy Guy show later that evening. That was the same night. And when I was on stage, I looked out into the crowd and you could see the first 4 or 5 rows. And we were lucky enough to have front row seats. And there my dad was with tears streaming down his face, clapping so hard that his hands were, bleeding. But yeah, no, he was, those smiles lasted an awfully long time. In fact, they would probably still be on his face today if he were here.
The John Mayall part of that night was the one, and then I was going to get to the Buddy Guy part where you also got to come back with me to meet Buddy Guy, and when we had the gathering with all of your friends and family and stuff at LB's Pub, I told the story about how you went and knelt in front of Buddy Guy's guitar like it was a shrine, and while we were talking with Buddy Guy, you looked up at Buddy and asked if you could play it, and he was like, what the hell? He eventually started ignoring the conversation that he was having with me and with your dad. It's because you were noodling on his guitar. And then when we came back out into the Jubilee Auditorium to watch Buddy Guy play, I switched seats with you and your dad so that you could sit in the front row. And that's when he saw you and called you up. You jumped up there like you had wings and just yelled out, what key are we in, as you were putting Buddy Guy's guitar on your shoulder. And then you just lit that place up. It was unbelievable.
I remember that night. I will never forget that night. It's one of the most important memories that I've managed to store in my head. Yeah, I remember looking at Buddy, and I remember looking at him and thinking, I wonder if he'll let me play that. Might as well ask. So I asked, hey, can I play your guitar? Thinking he was going to say no, or if he did say yes, he wouldn't give a shit what was going on. And I just played it. I wasn't trying to impress anybody. I just wanted to play Buddy Guy's guitar. And he let me. And then, like you said, you and I switched seats. So we had front row seats. I was lucky enough to get second row center stage from the Ticketmaster outlet that's in St. Albert here. And I got these seats, and then you were sat right in front of me, and we switched seats after we met John Mayall and we met Buddy Guy, and I just sat there and I was watching the show, very, very happily watching the show. Then he looks down and he points at me and he goes, "You want to get up and play some?" And I looked at him, and my first question was, "Me?" And he goes, "Yeah, you." So I said, "Okay." And then the security guy let me on stage, and I just grabbed that guitar and played it like it was, the most important thing in my entire life. Because at that moment it was. Well, yeah, I remember looking out and seeing my dad and my mom with this big grin on her face, and my dad clapping with tears in his eyes, and you with the big Cheshire grin, big grin on your face. And I will always be grateful to you for switching seats with me, because if it wasn't for you, none of this would have gone on.
Well, if you had the ability, it was just about all it was is just a shift of 3 or 4 feet and some very fortunate circumstances. And of course, a willing Buddy Guy who was an absolute prince and still playing to this day. He's a legend, that's for sure. You were in touch with Buddy a number of times after that night too. You spent some time chatting with him on tour bus and that sort of thing, backstage stuff, right?
Yeah, the second time he was in town after that, he got me to play again. I know I met him back on his tour bus, and we talked for a good 20 minutes and had a conversation about what I was up to and what I'd been doing since the last time he'd seen me, and he told me what he'd been up to. And it was weird talking to him like that, because the way he spoke to me, it was like he was speaking to a friend. And I'd met him, once 4 years prior. He got me up on stage, and then the next time I see him 4 years later, he remembered who I was. Did he pull me up on stage the second time?
I seem to recall that happen, yeah.
Yeah, I know definitively that he pulled me up on stage the first time, but my memory, like I said, is that of a goldfish.
I love hearing you tell the stories about your family, about your bandmates, about your music, all of the things that make you happy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great to tell them.
Well, it's great to hear them. Thank you, Wayne. Love you.
Love you too, man. Thank you for having me.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by homegirls.ca, a top producing team at Remax Professionals, and thompsonmortgages.com. They take care of the financials. You search for your perfect home. If you're searching for a home in the Edmonton area, please use both of these fine sponsors.
Reluctantly.